I'm Fady Hayek. I'm the Vice President of Music Products for Solid State Logic, and I handle what's called the audio creation products for SSL. That includes what you see today, all of the rack gear, the controllers, Origin mixing console, and all the mid-frame size mixing consoles.
I'm Wally Gagel, part of Wax Ltd, partnership with Xandy Barry, and I've been producer, musician, mixer, songwriter. And we've been working together for about 20 years.
I'm Xandy Barry, one part of Wax Ltd with Wally. Producer, label owner, songwriter, tap dancer, mixer, whatever we need to do. We're here today to make a record.
No audio console manufacturer has imparted its sound on as many hit songs as Solid State Logic, affectionately known as SSL. Since the release of the 4000B console in 1977, SSL consoles have been installed in more world-class studios than any other manufacturer, and have been the choice of chart-topping producers and mix engineers like Dr. Dre, Chris and Tom Lord Alge, Bob Clearmountain, Alan Moulder, Manny Marroquin, Andy Wallace, and countless others. Historically, if you wanted to purchase an SSL console, it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, take a team of well-paid technicians to move and install it, and the studio would need to have a dedicated machine room with air conditioning to keep the 240-volt power supplies and computer cool. The electric bill alone could exceed $2,000 per month just to run and cool the console. It is now the fall of 2025, and SSL has just released 2 new channel strips in rack format so that every studio has access to the premium sound of SSL without the high cost, size, and need for additional space. In this video, we're going to compare the sound of the new SSL Revival 4000 and Super 9000 channel strips while tracking the song All of the Above by Jessy Fury and the Sound. For the past couple of years, Jessy has been writing and producing with my friends and longtime clients, Xandy Barry and Wally Gagel, also known as Wax Limited. They have been a part of writing and producing songs with millions of sales and billions of streams. We are back at one of our favorite studios, Nest Recorders in East Los Angeles, and are grateful to have multi-Grammy-winning engineer Chris Sorem to help us get the most out of his studio. Many thanks to Jessy and his band for working with us on this project. We have been talking about doing something for over a year. I wanted it to be something very special, and I'm glad we waited. When I pitched this idea to SSL, they said, "I don't think anyone has presented an A/B of the 4K and 9K sound before. We've done it in the factory, but it's never been shared with the public. This is going to be exciting." Here's how we're going to record this session. We have 8 of each of the SSL channel strips racked up and ready to go. Each one is fed by a Radial OX8 microphone splitter so that the microphones capturing the performance are split and fed into both the Revival 4000 and Super 9000 at the same time. The output of these channel strips is then going into a Lynx Aurora N and Pro Tools. We will not be using any additional outboard gear or processing. We will be using all the processing available on each channel strip, including EQ, filters, dynamics, and de-esser. From there, we will do some digital level matching to make sure that the comparisons are even, and over the course of this video, you'll hear solo tracks and full mixes bouncing back and forth from sound to sound. This is not a shootout. One of these units is not better than the other. Each one is a paint on the audio engineer's palette, and we hope this helps you to find the sound which works best for you and your musical aesthetic. Because you and your sound are so unique, Providence offers you the ability to try these in almost everything we carry with a 30-day money-back trial period, so you can buy with confidence and make sure you're making an investment that works for you. Please visit our website, provsv.com, for more information and personalized service. Now, let's get to the song.
Yeah, yeah, babe, the world is yours, whatever you are. Alright, okay. 'Cause you are wildfire, honey on my tongue, spinning me around. Love, you know I love every side of you, but if I gotta pick one, ooh, give me all of the above. You're a hell yeah night. I'm down if you wanna stay. So go off, do your own way. Yeah, yeah, babe, the world is yours, whatever you are. Alright, okay. 'Cause you are wildfire, honey on my tongue, spinning me around. Love, you know I love every side of you, but if I gotta pick one, ooh, give me all of the above. You're a hell yeah night.
So today we have the SuperAnalogue Super 9000 series channel strip. We have 8 of them set up here, and we have 8 of the Revival 4000 channel strips. Essentially, what you're looking at is about 50 years of SSL history in these 2 modules. This is an entire channel strip, both on the 4K and the 9K. The Revival 4000 stems from the period of SSL's initial history, from the 4000B, the early days. The 4000B console was the first production console SSL ever made. There were roughly about 6 of them released into the world. Townhouse Recording Studios are one of the famous ones. Le Studio up in Quebec was another one that was very well known. Records from Rush were recorded there. Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures were probably the most notable. Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, Peter Gabriel's Intruder. That's where they discovered the talkback microphone trick, where they used that talkback series microphone and were able to create that iconic drum sound on that console. So lots of early history there. And it was groundbreaking, really. SSL took a lot of great ideas from a lot of the engineers at the time. And some of the really interesting things about that period was the console dynamic was the precursor to the bus compressor. Most people think the bus compressor just came about as a bus compressor, but it really didn't. It came from the channel compressor on the B series console and eventually migrated into the bus compressor. So what we've done is we've taken the best of the 4000B and 4000E and put them together into a channel strip. So this is a complete SSL channel strip on there. In contrast, the 9000 here, the Super 9K, is taking features from the SuperAnalogue 9000 console and the duality and putting that into this version. So you're looking at a broad spectrum of different technologies along the way. This is the more modern SSL. This is the more classic SSL.
We love hard and we die okay.
Today we're working with this artist, Jessy Fury. It's great, and we've been working with him for the last year, developing him.
Super talented, and it was great to get him in with his band here today and actually record live, because we ended up getting a chance to use all of these incredible pre's.
So this is one of those things where I had normally always tracked either with Neves or APIs, so it was nice to just have a full range of SSL stuff to try. And there's a difference between the two. Each one has its special sauce in a way. So the 9000 and the 4000, we got everything we needed. It sounded incredible. And SSLs I'd always use for mixing and the detail and sculpting out sounds, which again, you can still do this as a tracking thing, but there was a warmth and openness, harmonic distortion we're able to get.
I'm accustomed to using SSL for EQing and mixing and compressing and all the things that it's known for. But what really surprised me was the tones that we got today. Just coming off the pre's, and specifically on the 9000 for drums, just kind of being able to dial in this level of harmonic distortion as a feature was incredible, and something that I just didn't expect from an SSL channel. So I think Wally and I were both, when we first heard the aggressiveness of the compressor on the room mics and just the general tone on the kicks, we were pretty surprised. We're used to tracking on a different kind of console.
There was never a time I'm like, oh, I wish we had these other channels in here to get the thing I'm looking for. It was nice to have both the 4000 and the 9000 as like an option, because maybe there is certain colors you'd get from one and not the other. So if you're recording, it might be nice to have both depending on what you're doing.
I think most people are kind of accustomed to mixing on an SSL and not necessarily considering it as a tracking coloration channel strip, but it absolutely is. Even for bass, the 4000, we thought, wow, that sounded great. And then on the room mics, we really liked the 9000.
Over the last few months, I've been working with it and working with other users. They're discovering a lot of incredible things that are not vocal related that are working great, like guitars and overheads on drums. It's a fantastic tool for controlling the guitar sounds so that you put them in the pocket that you might want to put them in. So they've actually started to really experiment with that. And I think really it's the secret weapon of this module. It helps to control some of those really transient, in this particular case, 7 kilohertz is the focus frequency. And of course it's dynamic. So it could be very, very subtly applied or very harshly applied. But when it's used very subtly, that's where you realize, oh, I just took some of that edge that wasn't really as pleasant as you would have liked, and tamed the guitar. And interestingly too, I've noticed that when you have multi-tracks of guitars and you have a space, you want a space individually for each one of them, it really plays a really indelible role to do that for you. So it just makes the entire multi-tracks of guitars seem bigger and have their own unique space.
Just right off the bat, it makes a lot of sense the way things are sequenced out. And when you start turning things and pressing buttons, you don't really get any unpleasant surprises. It's just like, oh, that's nice, or oh, that's a very different option. So very versatile unit. We were able to really quickly just get some great tones out of these, and everything's really laid out the way you would want it. And it's nice because it's all vertically notated, so you can just literally go through the strip and do it.
Felt very oh, you can find it. Nothing harsh, it was great.
The original O2 brown knob, which is the one that was released with the B series console, was the first iteration of the EQ that SSL came out with. Now that's a variable version of the EQ, so it's a 3-band equalizer. You have high and low shelf, and you've got the mid-bands, 2 mid-bands with parametric swing on them. Their other EQ came in a little later. This is when the E-Series console, we started making the E-Series, and it was something that George Martin was considering, the E-Series console, but asked us to see if we can tailor the EQ to make it just a bit more aggressive. So this is where the other EQ, called the black EQ, or the 242 EQ, that became iconic for SSL sound for decades after that. So you have 2 of those equalizers. You just simply hit the black button for the black series EQ, or release the black button and now you're in the brown series EQ. 2 very different characters. One, the brown series being a little bit more wider, sweeping tailoring, where the black knob is much more focused, very surgical, designed to solve problems and really change the character of the sound.
And at the same time, there's so many ways you can resequence the signal flow, and there's some kind of hidden features on each of these that are unique to the model. So I could see spending a lot more time refining that, but just straight up, the first sounds you're getting are already pretty solid.
Roughly the 4K was late 70s and into really almost the mid to late 90s. There were a couple of 4000s were still being manufactured to spec to somebody who really wanted one. They were making them. But at that stage, SSL was always looking to push the envelope of clean audio, cleaning up the audio, cleaning the sound of the console. And towards the mid-90s, the 9000J started to hit the market, and then followed by it, the next console, the 9000K, brought what we call the SuperAnalogue signal path. This is where SSL achieved incredible cleanliness, and it was just a very punchy, very accurate audio console. And it really won the hearts of a lot of people who are interested in hip hop and R&B, migrated to it. But it was really a milestone for the company because we did away with a lot of things like capacitors in the signal path and replaced them with servos, and we did away with transformers. We did away with VCAs. So all those elements and components kind of came together as a recipe, and we ended up calling it as SuperAnalogue. And the end result was incredible transient response, really wide frequency response. Honestly, the frequency response is beyond any digital device that can replicate right now. So it's way ahead of the digital technology. And phase distortion, again, that was something else. So that big, wide sound got even bigger. And people were like, wow, this thing is just, could be really in your face. and it could be really wide. So it changed the trajectory of SSL, where the 4000 was really living really nicely in the rock and roll, heavy metal periods of that type of music, blues music. This accelerated into lots of acoustics, lots of orchestra, lots of hip hop and R&B and jazz, because they just love that punch. And that's where that transition happened. And then we took it another step with the duality later on. And that was like towards the 2003, 2004, roughly. The duality came in and introduced the VHD, the variable harmonic drive. And the idea of that was, some of the comments from customers were, I miss the tone. I wish we had the tone back. And of course, at the time, the 4K had a particular tone to it. And if you knew how to use it correctly, you'd get this lovely, lovely sound out of it. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create a tone, but that's on demand, not as a prerequisite, not painted right into the channel. So if you don't want it, you can take it off. But most importantly, we wanted it to be controllable to the level where you can make it sound more like tube sounds, or you can make it sound more like transistor sound. So the variable harmonic circuit is designed to do exactly that. You can put it into the mic pre, or you can flip it and put it into the line input, so that if you want to use it in playback, you can use it that way, or if you want to use it with your microphone, you can use it that way. And the end result is, that little bit of dirt, if you will, and it's controlled based on how much you push that pre. There's a meter that indicates to you how much you're putting signal into that. And depends on what kind of sound you're looking for. It does incredible things for drums and bass guitars, and it just adds that harmonic that's very, very pleasing and reminiscent of a lot of consoles that aren't SSL. So, it just gives the user a broader palette of sound. And it's the user's choice, not something that comes with the box.
Again, I kind of think of SSL prior to today more as a fantastic tool in the mix process. Something after you've tracked something to really sculpt it. But one of the things we really noticed today was you have such precise control as you're building a sound that's going in. You can do things with this, especially with the side chaining and the high pass filter and the low pass filter and even the de-esser, that you can't really do on a lot of other channel strips. So you're getting not only like a great tone, but you have that SSL control of things. So it's very versatile. I was very impressed.
The compression circuit on this has an interesting feature that does de-essing. So the old console would allow you to switch it to become a de-esser. This, however, allows the de-esser to exist separately. So you don't lose the dynamics on this. You retain the dynamics, and you have the de-esser on top of it.
You could almost have a rack of this, just like this, 16 channels, 8 of each, almost like a console, and you're all set. You really could have that.
For some time, SSL was organizing these roundtables where during the AES show, for example, after the AES show was completed, we would have a roundtable of engineers that are using our console. And it was just like, okay, what do you want to see? And that was a big driving factor as to what SSL would do. And some basic things, like for example, the ability to have a solo that could dial in what was unsoloed. So all the solo would actually do is accent what you soloed without losing the rest of the context of the mix, so that if you're trying to blend an EQ, but you don't want to lose the rest of the mix, you can just make the solo gradual solo. Those, little tiny things like that really became iconic. The talkback system was a lot of input from engineers. The talkback compressor was a fluke, but it was just the beginning of, wow, okay, if we listen to the engineers, they're coming up with some great ideas, and eventually that always ends up leading to a product. It's inevitable. I've seen it happen, in my 20 years, dozens of times, where it's like literally a specific suggestion made it right into a product. We really pride ourselves on making sure we listen. And this is where, this product came from. It was started out 20 years ago with the X-Logic version, but economically at the time, it was expensive. It was $44,000 basically in, 2006 money. And the incorporation of Audiotonics, a capacity to design us components and build us stuff that required for our class of quality.
I'm just really surprised at the price point of this unit and the build quality, but also just the completeness of it.
Talking to SSL, you realize they were able to produce these things at a cost that it should be way more. It really should be, you know, for what they put into this. So I'm happy. I'd be totally stoked to, you know, buy a few of these.
We were able to come back and make these again and make them true to the original consoles. And that's the only way we'll ever do anything, is that we will never run away from what's hard in order to pull that off.
While tracking, getting everything done, I'm not super laser focused on hearing everything that's the difference between the two until I'm able to open it up at home. It's gonna be nice.
We can bring this back to our studios and open up the session in our room where we would be mixing stuff, and it'll be fun to kind of hear it there. Actually A/B both of the channel strips on each instrument, really get a sense of what it sounds like. I'm excited to dig into what we actually tracked and hear how it sounds.
I mean, I'd like to get a whole bunch of these eventually, you know?
Thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed the session and the comparison of these two modern classics from Solid State Logic. Many thanks to Jessy, The Sound, Xandy, Wally, Chris, SSL, and the crew behind the scenes here who helped us put this video together. Please like and subscribe for more content where we will help you experience audio hardware you might be interested in for your studio. And visit our website, provsb.com, next time we can help you with your studio and audio technology. We live to help you sound your best. Thanks.